All of the content contained in this webcast is for informational purposes. The investments and strategies contained in this webcast may not be suitable for you. Please consult your own independent financial advisor before making any investment or trading decisions. Good morning, traders and investors around the world, and welcome to Friday, the 13th edition of premarketinfo.com, where we prepare you for the most important hour of the day, the first hour. Well, Dennis, the rally yesterday, hard into the close, has seemed to come to a halt.
It has, Joel. We actually went up a couple points after hours too, but overnight we have pulled back, and we've had a couple earnings reports here this morning, and they're not fantastic.
Yeah, well, big focus on Chinese industrial production and whatnot. I really don't know how to interpret that information, but we know how to interpret the numbers, Dennis. And the SPOOs got above 2 points above Thursday's high, 86 and a quarter. So that already all the way up to the Globex highs could be a critical area. Coming on the downside is 1377 has held. But boy, Dennis, we flew through those 1370s yesterday. It could go back south the same way. Just want a quick note, folks. We've been talking about this 1380 level forever. Got a couple closes below it. Got above it yesterday, and now it's definitely the point of control. News out on the banks, Dennis.
Yeah, news is out on the banks here, Joel. Might as well start with Wells Fargo. They were the first to report, and they're getting beat up the most here. Wells is actually trading down about 70 cents in the pre-market. It traded up last night before the report. Reported here just at 8 a.m. Eastern. Numbers aren't great, and the stock is looking weak here in the pre-market, Joel.
Well, Dennis, if we had been covering this stock like we have all the the ones in the Big Ten, and we talk about the HFTs, someone definitely wanted out at 34.50 in this, Dennis.
Oh, wow, I know, I see.
Look at all those highs there. Finally, after they stepped down and over the last few days sold off. You really got to keep an eye on this 32.85 level, Dennis. That's a 3-day low. In the pre-market, we are just kind of migrating towards that at 33.12 has been the current low. But we've been straight down, Dennis, since the news come out. 32.85, and you guys are probably sick of hearing this, but looks like it's sitting on a cliff here, Dennis. This 33 level, we could go slice right back down to 31.
Yeah, we break through that 32.85 low, and I'd bat down the hatches because you had that. You had that real run up too. We were trading below 32 and the breakout through 32. If you look back to early March, and we broke right up to 33.58. We always say when it goes up that fast, it can come down that fast too. So we get below this 32.85. Wouldn't surprise me if 32 is the next big stopping point. J.P. Morgan reporting here too, Joel, and they're just a bit weaker, not nearly as weak as the Wells. They're down 30 cents right now, trading 44.53 after closing at 44.84. The 45 bucks, I actually see some size in the book there. So if it does go into rally mode for whatever reason, that might put a little bit of a lid on the rally. Pulling back, I think maybe yesterday's low around 44 could hold. We're still drifting down at 44.47. So as I'm speaking, it's dropping. So and then we just reported a few minutes ago. So we'll have to see where this one's heading, Joel.
Did they have a pretty good beat?
Actually, the funny thing is I had the numbers in front of me. We don't care about fundamentals, Joe. We care about the charts. Why are they asking me fundamental stuff?
I'm sorry.
All we know.
I'll go back in my cave.
we're technical traders here, and all we know is it's selling off here, Joel. So obviously they don't like something.
Okay, this did pop up at 46. Doesn't look like that's going to come into play today. Dennis, that 44, I see that. That's yesterday's low. It looks like we're migrating there. Boy, I tell you, I would use that as a point to cover short. I don't know if I'd want to step out and try and get long in that area because you got a good 40-cent drop to 43.57. But really what you got to keep on if this thing really goes into sell-off mode, they really don't like these numbers. They hit the SPOOs. 42.66 is way down there. I don't know if it's going to come into play today. Quite a bit above there right now, but you never know. And then that 42.66 coincides with some of the lows that we had back in March, mid-March. So if we take that out, Dennis, the old sitting on a cliff formation, we could be testing this $40 level.
then Bank America is selling off in sympathy with this move here, Joel. It's a stock we've talked about quite a bit lately. Broke out nicely over the $9 area yesterday, but now is migrating back towards that $9. $9.05 trading in the pre-market. So it's pulling back with these other two banks. I know Citi's pulling back here too, Joel. I'll give you a quick chart on Citi, and it's 34.62 is where it closed, and it's trading 34.33. So all these stocks kind of had a little bit of a breakout day yesterday, but all the charts look similar, and they're pulling back here. Let's just move back to the Bank of America and get Joel's take.
That got an upgrade yesterday, Dennis, which helped the stock recover off the 850 level. I think it's going to spend some time back in the 8s, do some consolidation. Yesterday's trading levels will be good levels. If we get a pop-up anywhere near the close or the high, it'd be excellent resistance. I'd probably start selling a little bit earlier. Really doesn't look like there's much at 9, but use that 891 to cover some shorts if it really goes into reverse. It had its big break off $10, Dennis. $1.50 break. It's trying to take half of it back. So you're okay staying short until we get some closes above 9.25.
We had Google report last night. Obviously, that was the big one. And it had a wild ride after hours. Joel will probably give you the after hours high and the after hours low, but it was rallying a bit, and then it sold off, I think, onto the 630s, then rallied. I think it touched up to 670, if I'm not mistaken. Joel will give you those numbers. But obviously, they announced a 2-for-1 stock split. They beat on the bottom line. Quite a few good things, but the stock is not really trading up that much. It's only up $2 now at 653. Joel, what is your take on Google?
It did hit 671.05.
671.05. What was the low? What was the low in the after hours?
627.66.
It got down to 620. So there's your 50-point range. It actually ended up close to it anyway. So it does get this 40, 50-point moves. It just happened to be 20 up and 20 down, Joel.
I know. A strangle, you'd be getting strangled there because you'd be getting killed on both sides, not be able to get out during the after hours. I'll tell you, Dennis, this is a scary chart here. Okay, yeah. You have that kind of move, and basically it's been consolidating for hours and during the overnight session.
Yeah.
So people are squaring positions here. And the only thing I would say to our traders that have to trade this, this good thing they're splitting 2-for-1, Dennis.
It's a wild stock. I don't ever trade Google just because the price. It's so hard to get filled. Like I was complaining about getting filled on IBM yesterday. Getting filled on the bid on Google is next to impossible unless it's a buck through you.
Right. I would keep an eye on yesterday's parameters. It ran up into 653.14 on the close, or that made the high. That's where we're trading now. I think that would be a good level to use. Settlement would be 650.101, but I don't think you can really start hitting this stock until it takes out 649. If it starts hitting 649, then there's a lot of air in this. Getting back into yesterday's range. You had a gap up yesterday because of a downgrade, but I tell you, the first 15 minutes could be very interesting in this stock.
Yeah, I would keep it up just for an indicator, too. Obviously, if this thing really starts to sell off, it could go over into the tech sector. And speaking of the tech sector, we might as well talk about Apple, too. Joel, Apple's trading down here again. The relative strength on Apple has been terrible for the last 3 or 4 days. Apple being down, bigged up day yesterday, Apple was down again. I don't know, the stock just goes opposite to the market here the last 3 or 4 sessions, but being down $3, down a couple more bucks here today. What do you think of Apple? Is that thing getting ready to break down, or is it?
Yeah, Dennis, I'm sure it's ready for a big rally because
the chart starts to look bearish and always goes the other way.
Yeah, we have a dozen or so of our subscribers that like some individual analysis on Apple, and I really thought yesterday was going to be the day in Apple. It's just really sitting on a cliff here. I thought under 623 that they were just going to flush this thing down the toilet. I think they got helped out by the S&Ps, by the SPOOs. The market took off hard. People just felt obligated to buy it. But then it took on its own character later in the day and made the high and then drifted back in a strong market. I just would be extremely careful. The 620 level just looms large. Just something in my head tells me this thing's going to 600. There is a minor low at 617. We got under 619 under 620 in the pre-market, but I just don't like the way this chart's looking at all,
Yeah,
Dennis.
it looks scary to me too, Joel. Not saying, but this is an unpredictable stock. If it gets an upgrade or something tomorrow, then all of a sudden starts taking off again. It seems like it just starts to look weak, and then boom, somebody comes out and upgrades it and starts putting it in rally mode again. Below the 620 though, Joel, we consolidated all day yesterday. Really, kept trading in, or even going back even farther than that. Really, all weeks this 620 area has kind of been holding. So if it starts to break below that 620, I'd be scared too. Dow Chemical, Joel, here's an interesting chart for you. DOW moving up here, moved up after hours. They're raising the dividend. Everybody, you know how these investors, they love it when they raise the dividends. So the stock's getting a lift here in the pre-market. 33.15 is where it's trading right now after closing at 32.67. So Dow Chemical looks like it might be a good one here, Joel.
The old Midland, Michigan stock got a nice pop in the pre-market up to 34 even, and now we've settled back down. Actually hit a 32.60 low after that, Dennis. So kind of sitting smack dab in the middle. I would go right back to yesterday's range. You had a 32.84 high. I would use that as support. If, in fact, it fell back down there, I would not want to be long the issue. And if it gets back anywhere near 33.73 to 34.05, 34.05 was the high back on April 5th, Dennis. So here's another pretty thick stock. You get a big move in the pre-market, kind of similar to the AT&T yesterday. It got the pop. People, use the opportunity to get out. And just going back real quickly to the Apple, I just want to draw a parallel between that and J&J yesterday.
Okay.
How we've been talking about the 64 level and how big support was and how it opened up there and couldn't hold. And that's kind of what I feel about this 620 level. Now we're hanging down here, okay? So, it's not – so when it gets down through 620, it's only going to be down a couple bucks. So it's getting heavy there. So J&J had a good break yesterday, but managed to come back, Dennis, and settle back above 64.
I mean, the broad market really rallied everything, I think, in the afternoon there yesterday. So not surprising that J&J would rally a bit. I still think, if you get a rally up to the 64.5 area, I think you're going to be met with sellers up there. So, and we start breaking through 64. Obviously, that low of 63, 68 is now critical for the stock to hold because you start getting below there and it really starts to open up. But, you often see these things. They cut through, they break through support, try to get everybody, excited. Oh, it's breaking down, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way. I mean, it's always the path of least resistance. So if all the short-term traders get short off a breakthrough, a critical support level, the stock will often, the funny thing, move the other way. So just to shake out those traders. So. And that's not the only one, the Big Ten, that was moving yesterday. I mean, some of these oils here too, Joel. Chevron had a pretty wild range yesterday. Actually was down for a bit and then rallied hard. Like CVX made a new low from the day before at 100.51 and then rallied and made, it was an outside range day yesterday and went all the way up to 102.86. So CVX was pretty wild yesterday, Joel.
Yeah, it did make a new low for the move. Couldn't quite get to that $100 level, but it was kind of very begrudgingly went up. 102.86 yesterday's high, 103.38 Tuesday's high. Call that whole area 103. I think you're going to see sellers there. I think it's just getting a little bit of a dead cat bounce. But a better level if you want to have to play the oils, Dennis. Look at this 83.73 to 75 level in Exxon Mobil there. Just wow. Tuesdays and Thursdays highs. The close is right up there, trading down in the pre-market. Call it a double top, call it a triple top if it gets up there today. And if we start to peel back south, we could go all the way back down to the low of the move, which was Tuesday's low at 81.88.
Yeah, I see some size forming at 82.15. Odd number, but I'm just looking at the chart, and two days ago we had a low there at 82.15 as well. So I don't know if the high frequency guys are buyers down there in the low 82s, but keep that level in mind if it really went into sell-off mode. Philip Morris MO, we'll just give it a quick one. It got upgraded at Davenport today and is trading up in the pre-market. It's up actually 17 cents, which is a pretty good move for Philip Morris. 31.49 MO, the symbol on that. The high from 2 days goes 31.50, so we're trading right there right now. Obviously, with an upgrade, it might put some upward pressure on the stock all day, but that's 20 cents for MO, kind of like the AT&T yesterday, is a pretty big move for MO, Joel, especially on a down day.
Do you have any size there at 31.50, Dennis?
No, a little bit. But I mean, most trades in thick size too, so nothing really, shockingly big. But there's a little bit that might, maybe put a lid on just for the open. But I wouldn't put too much. I don't know if I think it's a technical level now because it has that high. But yeah, it's a little size there.
It's a huge level. It really is. I mean, because it's the all-time high. 30. The highest this thing has ever been is 31.50. Sneaked up to 31.53 in the pre-market. Try short there. I'm sure you'll be able to get out at 54, 55, or 56 the way this thing trades. And if it comes back down and can't hold this 31.50 area, then I look for it to come down and snuggle into yesterday's range, which was 31.33 high with a 31 close.
Well, that's our morning preview for today here, Joel. We got the SPOOs are down 6 right now with a CPI number coming out in a couple of minutes. So we'll obviously update you at 10:30, see how that CPI number goes. And any closing thoughts there, Joel?
Yeah, not sure how that CPI numbers will come out, but this 1370 handle just looks just thin to me, Dennis. If this 1377 doesn't hold up, I could see us slicing right back down to 1370. If we do get a pop-up, folks, anywhere near the close, 1386, I'm sure you'll see some sellers. So there's our market outlook for today, Friday the 13th, and we'll be back with you at 10:30.